I'm here at one of Florence's best-kept secrets, the Cenacolo of Sant Apollonia. I'm just a stone's throw away from Piazza San Marco, and here, what is left of a 15th century Benedictine nunnery, and specifically the refectory, or dining hall of that nunnery, which contains one of the most beautiful Last Suppers in the history of art. It was painted around the year 1450 by an artist named Andrea del Castagno, who clearly is not as famous as Leonardo da Vinci, but does not mean that he was any less talented as a painter. And in fact, many celebrate this particular Last Supper as the first Renaissance Last Supper painting, because above it, we actually have three other paintings. We have a crucifixion, to the right of which we have a resurrection, to the left of which we have an entombment. But it is the Last Supper that actually steals the show. No longer subordinate to the crucifixion like it was in the Middle Ages, but now instead occupying a majority of the wall. And what's interesting is that usually in Last Suppers, Christ is positioned directly at the center. But here instead, the main group has been pushed off to the left-hand side. And the only reason we know they're the main group is because of that abstract, expressionist, psychedelic marble panel that you see behind them. Interesting, in fact, that Del Castagno has left this space, this void, that was created by John, the beloved apostle, who's face down on the table. And in fact, I call him the lush apostle, because we're told that he drinks too much and passes out. But the interesting thing is that this Last Supper is full of tidbits, little bits of narrative that would entertain the audience that was once inside. Like, for instance, on the left-hand side, where we see St. Thomas, the doubting Thomas, who actually sits with his hands to his chin, looking up as if he's contemplating the upcoming events. Next to him, we have St. James holding that cup up to his neck, because in fact he would later be beheaded. Next to him, the main group, we have Peter, whose right arm we can clearly see, but there seems to be a left hand attached to it. Then Judas sitting all by himself on the opposite side of the table. And if you look carefully at his face, you can actually see the demonic possession occurring as his ear becomes pointed, as does his nose and his beard as well. And in Judas's right hand, we see that little sop of bread with which he would then dip into the bowl of wine at the same time of Christ. Interesting detail, if you look at the fold in Christ's robe, it almost takes the form of a chalice. Christ himself looking down rather disappointedly at John the lush apostle, who you see face down on the table, and then to the right of them, St. Andrew holding a knife towards a very worried St. Bartholomew. Worried because, in fact, Bartholomew would later be martyred by being skinned alive. Now remember, in the days before Netflix and television, it was this kind of art that actually entertained the audience, and in this particular case, that audience consisted of Benedictine nuns who would pick up on all of these nuances.